Before I start my speech, I want to have a confession. But first, I want you all to have a tiny confession too. Let's be honest, if you had one wish to change something about your body, what would it be? I'll give you a few seconds to think about your wish. Okay, have you got your answers yet? Well, to me, my wish is to change my height. I want my legs to be longer so bad because if I were taller, I would feel less small and be confident enough to express myself. That's what I thought 1 year ago. However, it wasn't always like that. You see, when I was younger, all I cared about was keeping myself fit because in my eyes back then, being slim was being pretty. So I did something that I forever regret until now, is that going on a diet throughout most of my teenage years. At the end of the process, I did lose some weight and I did look slimmer. I received few comments about how different I look after losing weight from relatives and neighbors. It was satisfying to hear all that. It really did. But that's all. The reality of being slim was not as magical as I thought. Me of 1 year ago was tired of chasing that perfect image. There were a myriad questions running through my head back then. Why do I have to change myself for others? Why does it feel so important not to be the odd one out? And why don't I feel enough? Well, it turns out the reason why we are not living authentically is not that we want to be perfect, but because we are afraid that if we were different, we would be lonely and not belong to any group. This is what science calls the need to belong. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a desire to feel connected, accepted, and be part of a group. That's the reason why we often feel lonely when witnessing others' differences. So maybe it was never about perfection or beauty. Maybe it was about not wanting to feel alone. So, but I found the simplest truth ever on this earth is that humans are much more alike than we think. And you have similarities with the people around you much more than you think. Even with a stranger you saw on the bus or a friend in class you have never talked to. There's always something among us that can possibly build up a connection. I first recognized this when I had a conversation with my friend about 1 year ago. At that time, I was struggling with self-acceptance when a close friend of mine started becoming closer to another person. I was jealous, I was resentful, I was scared of being replaced, but I didn't want to admit the feeling because how strange it is to be jealous just because your friend made a new friend. So I acted unbothered. I laughed at them, even though I didn't really want to. So, although I didn't really want to, then until one day, in a casual conversation with Em, who was a mutual friend of all of us, the topic came up and she said she was kind of jealous with them for being such close too. And at that moment, something sparked in me. It turns out, I am not that different. I just haven't found the person who shares a similarity with me. And all I need is just a genuine conversation with someone. This perspective leads me to a conclusion. The deep reason behind the desire to appear perfect comes from the lack of human connection. So how do we stop that perfectionism running through our blood? By having conversation. Talking to people is the best way to understand them and understand ourselves at the same time. However, to create true connections has never been easy. William James, the father of American psychology, once said, whenever two people meet, there are really 6 people present. There is each man as he sees himself. each man as the other person sees him, and each man as he really is. So when you're in a conversation, you're not talking to the person next to you. It's your image you're adopting, talking to the image they're adopting. And these barriers even get thicker over time as you grow up, and I would like to call them filters. So how to have a true human connection? A true human connection must come from the direct connection of two souls, which means you have to delete all your illusions about yourself and others. There are two solutions that we're recently implementing which help me to live more authentically, and I would like to share it with you today. First of all, to have a true human connection, you have to connect with yourself first. And yourself here, I mean, is your true self. So my first advice is to focus on your strength and what you love. Some of you have kindness, some of you have patience, some of you have love, some of you are good at math, art, sports, whatever it is, whatever your gift is. You need to be aware of its existence and focus on what defines you. Secondly, after you have fully understood what you want in life, it's time to connect with people. And to connect with people, you need to understand them before going to the conversation. First, you can know, and there are two things you can know for sure before going to the conversation with anyone, and without thinking that you're not good enough. First, people have more similarities with you than you think. So don't be afraid to tell how you feel or do what you love, because the person next to you might share the same feeling. Second, although you may have shared lots of similarity with someone, they are still different from you in numerous things. And this is where insecurity started. So how do we avoid that insecurities and destroy them? So when you're witnessing a difference, instead say, I'm different from them. Say they are different from me. And I respect that, because I know each of us comes from different backgrounds, and we all have different talents or gifts. While the first sentence expresses self-doubt, the second sentence demonstrates active reflection. By putting yourself at the center, you are proactively taking control of your own thoughts and actions. Furthermore, another way of thinking that I quite like is to view your differences from a person as an opportunity to connect with another person. This way, you will not feel not enough anymore, but believe in yourself and remain an open mind for further connection. Ultimately, all self-doubt stems from our perception and how we see the world. So after this talk, I would like all of you to do a simple task. Ask yourself a question and think about the answer seriously, because it might change how you live forever. Do you want to shape your world, or let the world shape you? Thank you.
Thank you, Lê Tuệ, for upbringing how you